Hi, welcome to Gene Rants. I'm Gene, and today we'll be taking our rant to the Middle East. Donald Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel, Hamas. Trump has been, trumpeting that they are on the verge, that Israel and Hamas are on the verge of agreeing to a 60-day ceasefire. To that I say, hold your horses, you're going to see why, or hold your camels, you're going to see why in a moment. But Netanyahu has agreed to this 60-day ceasefire, and the idea is the sticking point for Netanyahu was that he agreed now during the 60-day ceasefire to discuss an end to the Israel-Hamas war. Now, what you have to understand, this whole ceasefire business, Trump sent Witkoff. It's all Trump's Witkoff to negotiate on behalf of Trump, actually, not on behalf of Israel, not on behalf of Netanyahu, which is getting me to wonder. Well, let me just give you this first headline. All right, it's about that Netanyahu was balking at agreeing to the 60-day ceasefire if it would mean an end to the war, because he is dedicated to, on behalf of the Israeli people, just common sense, to totally defeating Hamas. His position is that Hamas has to disarm and leave Gaza and free all the hostages. Those three things, all three, nothing less. Now, Trump has other ideas, and his ideas are that he wants to be known as the president who stops wars, no matter what the war is about, no matter who started it, whether we're talking about an enemy attacking an ally, which is what Israel is supposed to be. But Trump wants to be the president who stops wars. If he were thank God he were not though he sometimes acts like it, not King of France in 1776. I've mentioned this before, because when Benjamin Franklin went to France and asked and got financial support and soldiers from France to help us in our revolution. Well, if Trump had been the King of France, he would have said, no, 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 no. Too many people getting killed. Too many people getting killed. You have to sit down with the King of England, and you have to negotiate something that will be happy, that will make everybody happy, because I, Donald Trump, am the great deal maker. And if Britain does not want to negotiate, well, then I'm going to lean on Benjamin Franklin and George Washington and all the founding fathers, and I'm going to force them, I'm going to bully them into negotiating with France. Imagine if he were president instead of FDR in World War II. What would he have done? England asked for our help. We gave it to England unreservedly. Everything England needed, England got. Whatever we did not bully them. If Trump had been president instead of FDR, he would have said, no, no, sorry, Prime Minister Churchill, that's no good. Too many people getting killed. People getting killed. You need to negotiate, make a deal with Adolf Hitler, right? That would leave Adolf Hitler in power, but Donald Trump would be known as the great deal maker who stops wars. And that is the important thing. If you're Donald Trump, nothing else matters. And that brings us now to the present day in Israel. Now, I just told you about this deal that supposedly was on the verge of being agreed to by both sides. And here's I'm just going to put up the headline, and here it is. I'll link to these. I have two today. I'll link to them in the description, so you can see them if you want. Read the articles if you want to. But here's the first one. Trump says he will be very firm with Netanyahu on ending Gaza war. In other words, he's going to be firm with an ally, which is what I thought Israel was. And he's going to basically bully Netanyahu into agreeing to end the war and leave Hamas in power. That's what this this is what this means. Now, Netanyahu said in an article in response to this, of course, he's not going to say, we know what happened with Zelensky when he challenged Donald Trump, at least in public, in the Oval Office. Behind the scenes, I don't know. But Netanyahu said, Hamas is going to go. They are not going to be running. All the hostages will be freed. Hamas will be disarmed, and they will leave Gaza. He said nothing is going to change that, and that's why this 60-day deal is that we are saying, or Trump is saying that. Well, Netanyahu is saying that Israel will talk about, during the 60 days, we'll discuss ending the war, which will be, obviously, the war will, Netanyahu will say, it will end when Gaza releases all the hostages and disarms and leaves Gaza for good. But Trump apparently has other ideas. But the thing, what is it? Remember, this deal supposedly was on. Hamas is under pressure because Iran, they're losing Hezbollah. They have no allies. They are on the ropes. And this what bothers me, not just Trump, every president that whenever Israel is on the verge of winning, we step in and we bully them into stopping short of victory. And now we have this Gaza business, because this is the second headline I want to show you. Remember, Hamas is on the ropes, and Israel is, well, this is a little aside. Israel, I think, made a big mistake when they called on Trump to send in B-2 bombers to bomb the nuke facilities in Iran. Much easier than if Israel had to do it, but Israel had plans to do it, and they could have, and they would not have. You have Trump saying, well, you couldn't have done it without us, and now I'm going to bully you. You have to do whatever I want. And that's why, well, what is the result of this? And this is the second headline. Look at this one. Responding to Trump, not to Netanyahu, to Trump, because he's the deal maker. He's the one that Netanyahu doesn't matter in all of this. He's the prime minister of Israel, which is why I asked in the title to the section, who is really the prime minister of Israel? Is it Benjamin Netanyahu or Donald Trump? So, responding to Trump, Hamas says Gaza deal must clearly lead to complete end of the war. In other words, what has Hamas done? They've hardened their position. Why? Because Trump said, I'm going to be firm with Netanyahu, not with Hamas. Well, he says, he makes these vague things. Well, if Hamas doesn't agree, bad things are going to happen. I won't hold my breath for these bad things to happen. Well, what bad things will happen is that Israel will step up. They were on the verge of stepping up. They had another, they were going to escalate their military operation. Trump bullied them into stopping. So now, but ultimately, if they have to, Israel will go into the thing, will increase the pressure in Gaza. And, well, we'll see what happens. It'll be a falling out with Donald Trump. He'll be really mad, which is why I suggest, if anybody connected to the Israeli government is remember Netanyahu, when Obama was making life hard for Benjamin Netanyahu during his administration, he made a joint speech before both houses of Congress, a joint session of Congress, and it really, because it put Obama on the spot, made him hard because Netanyahu would thanked us for our support and made clear his. Well, it was about the Iran nuke deal that Obama made, and he spoke against it. Obama went through with it anyhow, but it made life very, very difficult for him. And my suggestion is that Netanyahu, he has friends in the U.S. Congress. He's on really good terms with Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, and I think he is with John Thune in the Senate. I don't know, but I think he is definitely with other senators. There was a name Lindsey Graham. Really good terms of strong support from Lindsey Graham and from John Fetterman, who's a Democrat. So both sides of the aisle, and he should reach out to them and see about arranging another joint address to a joint session of Congress and say, and thank us for our help, and thank Donald Trump profusely for the B-2 bombers and for all his help, and then state very clearly that we are going for complete victory. Hamas has to return all the hostages, disarm, and leave Gaza. And the result will be, at least on the Republican side, and maybe from John Fetterman, long-standing ovation. Trump will not like that very much, but it's going to tie his hands. It's going to make it difficult for him to hurt Israel, which would be to cut off weapons, I guess, and that would be very, very hard for him to do. I think it's hard for him to do right now, but pressure works both ways, and I think it's time. It's just that this really irritates me, and not just I've been talking about Netanyahu, but Zelensky too, and everybody, is that Trump. He really does. He really thinks he's king of the world, and I voted for him, especially given the alternative. Imagine if Kamala Harris were president right now. Better yet, don't. You won't be able to keep your dinner down. But at least I would have trouble. But it makes you wonder who is the prime minister of Israel, who is the president of Ukraine. He just holds these. He makes no distinction between allies and our allies' enemies. He makes absolutely no distinction. If he gets his way, if there is a permanent end to the war on terms that are not acceptable for Israel, you can be sure. And let's get aside to Iran. Iran, okay, he dropped those bombs and he said, okay, your nuke program is finished. Well, there are bulldozers by those sites right now. Why are we not bombing them? Anybody who approaches that support, or the Israelis are not. Why are they not bombing them? Definitely, if Iran starts to rebuild their air defenses and get more advanced, say, anti-aircraft missiles from maybe China, Israel has to go in and destroy them. And Trump bully him and say, no, that's a breaking of the ceasefire, which, by the way, talking about ceasefires, remember the ceasefire that is in effect right now between Israel and Iran. The terms were that King Trump, His Majesty announced was that at the end of 6 hours, Iran would stop and Israel would stop after 12 hours. Okay, so just before the 6 hours or right after that, Iran sent a missile to Israel. Israel sent bombers. They were going to do a whole bunch of damage, and Trump got real mad. Call them all back, even though under the terms of the ceasefire that Trump so proudly negotiated, Israel had 6 more hours. Iran had 6, and Israel had 12. They had 6 more hours to do anything they want under this ceasefire deal that Trump negotiated. And it just goes on. And to me, it's frustrating to me. How frustrating must it be for Israel? And they have, there's another problem that Netanyahu has, because Trump insists on putting him in between, Scylla and Charybdis. He's just, you can look those names up, those of you who are a product of today's public education. I'm not going to dwell on that, but has them all between a rock and a hard place, because there are 2 members. He has only just like Trump. He has, they have the Knesset, it's parliamentary system, so there's only one house, a legislature, but Netanyahu has a very slim majority, and there are 2 ministers, Smotrich and Ben Gvir, I believe is the other one. 2 of them, they are, hard. They are very firm on defeating Hamas completely, and they are threatening. They are saying if Netanyahu agrees to a ceasefire, they are leaving the government, and that means taking all their party with them. They have all the seats that they have with them, parliamentary system. So each of those people, they're ministers, and they represent a certain amount of seats. They're going to take away, and the Israeli government will fall, and they will have to go to elections, and who knows who will be prime minister after the elections. But anyway, be a big distraction at the worst possible time for Benjamin Netanyahu. But suppose, I mean, that's the choice he could be faced with if Trump really insists. It's make Trump mad, or lose his prime ministership and put a left-wing government, imagine what they'll be like, into power. So if I guess it just said Donald Trump, if you're listening, which he may be too busy to listen, but I wish someone would ask him this. But anyways, who's the prime minister? Treat our allies like allies, whether it's Zelensky or Netanyahu. But again, I'll end on this question: who's the prime minister of Israel? Is it Benjamin Netanyahu, or is it Donald Trump? And that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. Your comments welcome in the comment section below the video. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.